Hey everybody, today we are talking about The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. The Christmas Bookshop is a story about a woman named Carmen and her experiences with losing her job and trying to find a new one and just essentially trying to get her life together. She has a sister named Sophia who is already married and pregnant with her fourth child and has a nice house, even has a nanny to help out, and seems to just have this picture perfect kind of life figured out for her. Meanwhile, her sister, Carmen, is just going from job to job, not married, not even dating anyone, just kind of still figuring things out on her own. And that kind of makes her feel like she's just behind from her sister and from her family and what the expectations for her are from her family. Sophia has a client whose business is failing. He owns a bookshop and it's making hardly any sales at all. And so he's an older man and she essentially tells him that he's going to lose most of his things, including the bookshop, because of there not being any income really coming from it. And so her solution to help out her sister as well as her client is to have her sister come and stay with her for a little while in a spare bedroom and work at this shop and see if it's not really necessarily to see if it would turn it around, but just to give her sister a temporary job. And her sister knew it was temporary, but she didn't realize the dire situation of the fact that it was a failing bookshop that she was just kind of handed to. As you know, to her it kind of seemed like you're just doing this for yourself and for your client. You didn't really care about helping me out because it's going to fail anyway. So basically the idea of the story is to have Carmen find a way to potentially save this bookshop and help this old man with his, to help him not have to say goodbye to it, even though they feel like unless it gets turned around in 2 months, but before the new year, he's not going to be able to afford the new taxes for it. So when she discovers this, she feels some hopelessness, but then also she feels like maybe she actually could turn it around and that maybe she does have the ability to fix this shop up and make it become something. And she's fairly successful with this. They decide to just sell Christmas books because they need to make a certain amount of money by the holidays. And so they're like, why don't we just do Christmas themed things? We'll get a bunch of books and we'll just have it be a Christmas bookshop specifically, and see where that goes. So in the process of doing this whole revamp of this shop and trying to make it have some money come to it, she meets two men. I think this story is supposed to be like a cozy holiday romance kind of situation, but honestly, I felt like the romance was pretty dialed down. There's really not anything in this story that I could say is like really juicy or really interesting in terms of the relationships. In terms of like spice level, it's like a 1 or maybe like a 0.5. I think that this probably, like, trope-wise falls into like a love triangle kind of a trope thing, because there are two men, but the thing is, it's not like your traditional love triangle where Carmen likes both of the guys and can't choose between the two. There is kind of a little bit of like, I don't know who to choose, but not really, because in her heart she can't even stand one of the guys. Like, she doesn't like one of these guys. But this guy, whose name is Blair, which I kind of can't stand. I don't really like that name. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a name. But anytime I heard his name come up, I'm like, ugh, Blair. It's just like, I think it's a better like girl name than a boy name in my opinion, but also it's not my favorite girl name either. So anyway, but I think her feelings towards him make it so that it's not like really your traditional love triangle situation, because he's there. That's really all it is like he's there, and she knows he doesn't really care about her that much, but she is getting some attention from him, and she thinks that that's special because he's kind of famous. He writes books, and the way that she met him was that he came to their bookstore he wanted to sell some books at her shop, and she was like, well, we're a Christmas shop now, so you need to write something about Christmas related things if you want us to sell your stuff. And in the process, she gets kind of close to him enough to have his phone number and to help him spend some time away from like his people, because he's been doing a bunch of tours and lots of press things recently for his books that he just needed a break. So she was kind of just like there to be used, I feel like. The other more interesting man that's not super annoying and conceited like Blair is Oki. And Oki is from Brazil, and he's a lecturer on trees and all things about trees. And so he's very knowledgeable about how they grow, how they communicate with each other with their roots, how they help each other survive and share water supply, and like just like all these fun tree facts that we get to learn about while he talks about his love for trees and being a lecturer at the college. And slowly Carmen gets close to him, and it just seems to me it's like the obvious choice is Oki. You don't even care about this other guy. Why do you keep like letting him get under your skin? And of course there's like this thing that I feel like always happens in romances like this, is she assumes something about Oki, and Oki assumes something about her that makes them think that they couldn't become a thing. And therefore, Carmen starts to kind of lean towards Blair again because, well, at least he's being upright with her and honest with her and there for her, kind of, you know. I saw this book like 2 years ago and really wanted to read it, but it was so popular that I could never get it downloaded, like, from Libby in time for the holidays. This year I jumped on it early enough, and enough people have read it already that I was able to get it. And I am trying to get the audiobook for the second one so I can, because I'm like, well, might as well. The next one's called like the Midnight Christmas Bookshop, or Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop. And I thought, you know, if I can get it in time again, which we'll see, then I'm gonna read that one as well. And because I didn't hate this one, but I also didn't super love it, because I felt like it was just kind of meh all around. Again, the romance wasn't very spicy. The Christmas bookshop idea, I loved that idea, like, how are you gonna run the shop? And I was hoping more scenes would happen at the shop, but even though there is a good mixture of like her being out with different people and then her being at her job at the bookshop, I don't know, I guess I just expected her to have more scenes and more things going on at the bookshop itself, and more details about how they made it work and how it was run and all the different books of Christmas that they got. And again, there was a lot of scenes that involved the bookshop, and I think that was my favorite part. Like, so I am grateful for those parts of it for sure. Honestly, if this didn't even have a love interest and that part was not even part of the book, I probably would have liked it more, actually. Or at least if it didn't make it seem like the only thing that could make Carmen's life better is to have a stable job and a man. Like, just get the man out of it and just have the stable job part. Like, create this beautiful Christmas bookshop that actually works so well that you don't have to close it down, and you can just turn it into a holiday bookshop where you just cater to whatever season it is of the year, run it full year round. Honestly, that would be so cool. Like, I think I would want a job like that, to be honest. If I ever switched jobs, I think it would be really fun to work at a bookshop that actually was like a seasonal thing. And I mean, maybe that would be a nightmare for stock. I don't know. I don't know anything. I've never worked in retail, so I don't really know how any of that stuff works. But if it was possible to do something like that, like Spirit Halloween situation, where it's just kind of like a pop-up shop but just does all of the holidays, not just one holiday, finding a way to make that work and have room to store different holiday books, and then have enough to stock the store and have like little trinkets and okay, I'm just babbling now, so let's just wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. If you want a story that's set around December, and it is about books and it is about Christmas and it also has romance but it's not super spicy, then yeah, just read this. I will say one more thing. I didn't read this book. I listened to it on just an audiobook, and I feel like that always affects my ratings for books. I think that just naturally it's harder for me to fully get into books that are being read not in my own like mind, in my own voice. Like having to get used to a person and the way they speak and the way they do different characters' dialogue and the way that they portray the emotions of who they're reading. And it doesn't really leave you much interpretation for those feelings of like, well, how would I have thought that this character said that? Well, the person reading the audiobook is already giving you the certain emotion that they expect is coming from the line. And so I think it kind of skews your perspective a little bit on like, well, maybe I would have enjoyed this more if I was reading Blair in my own voice. I probably, because the person who was doing this audiobook, she always kind of made Blair's voice sound like this, where he was super conceited and wasn't about any of this like something like that is how she read his part. And so maybe that was done intentionally because yeah, he is supposed to be annoying, but I just felt like I do think it impacts how you feel about things when you are listening to someone else's interpretation of how their voices should be and how the tones and the inflections and like the way that they present a line. Like, does that make sense to you? I don't know. Let me know if you have this feeling about audiobooks. And because I really prefer to read the physical book, but there wasn't a version of that on Libby, and so that's why I did the audiobook. So if you have any experiences with audiobooks and how you enjoy them, and if you have any tips for me on how to enjoy them more, then let me know, because yeah, I don't do audiobooks very much because I feel like almost always I come away with them with less of an enjoyment factor than I think I would have if I read it myself. And I really am trying not to let that affect the actual book quality, but it does get in the way a little bit for me from what I can tell from the past couple of ones that I have read this way. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.